The Sciforror Film Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Sciforror Film Podcast. I am Andy Walker and I am here as normal with my son Scott. Hello, Scott.
Hello.
How are you?
I was okay until I told you what I did beforehand, before this, and you started laughing at me.
Well,
Meant to be a parent, meant to be supportive and caring, not sit there and laugh.
I'm not in the mood for that at the moment. Oh,
I'm okay. How are you, Dad?
I am a bit battered and bruised and holding a war wound.
Why?
I went to work the other day and I had an argument with the floor, and the floor won.
There's an argument with the floor.
Yeah.
Okay.
My foot. I was walking from the outside to the inside, and my foot.
With your foot, yeah.
And my foot. Well, it was a little bit damp outside.
Yes.
And when it went in through the door. My foot decided to slide out from underneath me. My other leg decided to bend underneath me. And I went from standing to laying flat on my back within about 30 seconds, if that. Or within like a millisecond. I just went straight down on my back. So I have a slight achy in my back and my knee hurts.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And everything just seems to be a little bit of an effort at the moment.
Yeah, well, I can understand that.
Apart from that, I'm fine. He lied intensely. So here we are again. Happy as can be, bloody, blah. Now, we have once again got 2 short films and a feature film to do, and I apologise profusely to you, Scott, for
what one?
For the choice of films this week. All of which are mine, and I apologise for them completely.
Don't be wrong. As we will talk about later, I have a few good points about one of them.
But one of them, yeah. Okay, let's start. So our first film is a short film from 2022. I'm there. Everything moved over from 2022, and it's called Goats.
Yeah.
From Fort Stouffville Productions. This was written and directed by Mitchell Robinson and Josie Busby. And the cast is Emma Robinson and Hayley Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the synopsis for this film says, Liv gets asked to house sit at a farm, but things become frightening when she hears noises. Though she's assured that she is the only one there. She will do anything she can to silence the creaking, rickety old barn and the maddening sound of the bleating goats inside it.
Yep.
Now, I don't know about you, but I found this more than a little confusing.
Oh, yes. No word of doubt. I had so much trouble following what was going on.
But, I mean, the camera work's interesting. The angles that they filmed at and some of the things they filmed and the editing, I didn't understand what they were doing. It seems to cut between things and through things, and things happen more than once. And yep. I didn't know what was going on at all. I must say, one thing I will say about this film is I thought that the effects were pretty good for a very low budget film.
Oh yeah, the blood splatter. Oh, sorry, pardon me. The blood splatter was very good, and I get what you mean about the camera angles. There were a few that were very interestingly filmed.
Yes.
They were very used, but there were some that were very, very peculiar.
Yes.
It just, I don't know. It's just this whole film really confused me. I'm trying to figure out whether or not it was a horror film or if there was some sort of like, I hate to say it, almost time loop sort of thing going on, or
Yeah.
it just seemed like all over the place.
Yes. I mean, it is kind of interesting because you don't really know what's going on and whether it's meant to be like that or not.
Yeah.
To be honest, I think the best thing about this film that I can say is it was all right. Ish.
To be honest, it was it was okay. It's called Goats, and I get the reason why because obviously she's there looking after some goats, but really it could have been called anything else.
The goats don't really have a lot to do with it.
No, it's not like it's the goats that attack her, or
It could have been called Barn.
yeah, it's to say it's not like it's the goats that attack her, or she sort of slaughters them or whatever. It's just
No.
it's a very peculiarly named film for a very peculiar film.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what they were trying to do with it, what it was trying to be.
Yeah, it's very weird. I think some of the acting was alright.
Yeah.
In places, there was a lot that could left to be desired, but there were in places was okay.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It just seemed like too much of a weird film and too confusing to follow. Really.
Yeah. No. I agree. I'm not really sure about it at all. It's a very odd film. Very odd. Yeah. Okay. Our second short film is I don't know what year this was from. Why don't I know what year this was from? I didn't write it down. Okay. But it's a film called Bewere.
Yeah.
Yes, it's Penny Rock Productions, and it's on the Dark Matters YouTube channel. The director was J. Budrow Pardita. Writer was Joy Lynn. The cast is Joseph Fontinos, Logan Powell, Drew Johnson, and Ray Roberts. The synopsis for this film says, a pair of overconfident bros get more than they bargained for when they seek out the power of the werewolf. What do you think?
Well, it's got one of the weirdest transformation scenes I've ever seen.
Yeah.
As in lack of. Well, I don't know. Actually, there is one. There is one at the end which I thought was hysterical. The way that it looked, because it looked like a couple of people I know. It looked like he just hadn't had a shave. I don't know. It's sort of weird because a lot of people, in a lot of films that I've watched and things like that, and even in history when they talk about the whole werewolf thing, it was always seen as a curse, and for the people that have it, it's always seen as a curse.
Yeah.
So why someone would pass it on willingly, especially for money, pass it on like that? And it's, I get the fact that obviously the whole the sort of being respectful sort of helps, and you get all the information, but it just seemed very. It seemed very odd.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing about it is a comedy. It's a
Yes.
It's a comedy horror thing, and there's a lot of humour in this, and some pretty good effects. There were some interesting ideas in this that I hadn't previously thought about, like the whole thing of people the first time they get transformed into werewolves gorging themselves on
Yes.
food that they can't digest, or too much for their for a human stomach to
Yeah.
think, or for their digestive system to digest. And so
Yeah, I've got to admit, when that happened,
causing
I
them
did think the
problems.
same thing. I did think the same thing. I sort of sat there. I was like, "That's a very good point." Diet, especially when they make the sort of the when they say the numbers for how much a wolf can eat compared to a human,
Yeah,
and it's just sort of I sat there afterwards. I was like, "That's a very very good point." The fact that
and I did like the bit where he was saying about the fact that they, when you're eating somebody, if you're a wolf, like they eat like bits of bone
yeah
and teeth and things like that we can't necessarily digest as humans, and then when they pass through the system, it can be a little painful coming out the other end.
yeah, I've got to admit that's another. I did like the effects of the bites and the blood and that sort
Yeah,
of work. I thought was very well done. There was a lot. Yeah, it was a comedic in certain places, and you can see where they've added that in. It wasn't sort of full.
yeah,
I don't know. It's a very odd film, and
it is.
again, it's I think it works.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty good film. I think it's a funny. It's comedy horrors. You have to be so careful about
Mm.
the comedy element, the horror element, and all that sort of thing. And I
Yeah,
think this one works really well. I really think it found it funny, but I also thought it was as good as a horror film.
yeah. It definitely had that right balance.
Yeah. Yes. So, saying that takes us on to our third film, which is the one I am truly sorry for. Um,
Um,
this is a film from 2012, although to be honest, I had to look that up twice to make sure it wasn't a 1980s film. Um, it's from 2012, and the film is called Girls Gone Dead.
oh, gold.
Directors Michael Hoffman Jr. and Aaron T. Wells. Writers Michael Hoffman Jr., Ryan D., and Megan Jones. The cast is Katie Peterson, Shay Stewart, Brandy Whitford, Kaylee Hayes, Ryan Keeley, Christina Walters, Brewster Sampson, David Alzum, Julie Kendall, Vincent Chimato, Jerry the King Lawler, Al Spienza, John McLaughlin, Jason Kessler, Greg Goldsberry, Maxwell Trelicki, Linnea Quigley. Now, Quigley has been in hundreds of horror films, some really excellent horror films,
Mm.
and she's in this. Then Sean T. Phillips, a guy called Beetlejuice,
Oh yeah.
Sal Governell, Ron Jeremy, who is like known for being a porn star, John Trappini, a guy called Asbestos Felt, which cannot be a real name, Gerald Winecoop, Tony Bateman, Nico McBrain. Now, here we go. The synopsis for this film says a group of 6 ex-high school cheerleaders are stalked by a killer with a medieval warhammer and battle axe during their first spring break from college. So, where do we start?
Well, I would say my first shock to this was obviously seeing Jerry Lawler in this. I can understand why he was in it. Obviously, he was
Oh,
known.
only at the end I can understand why he was
Oh
in it.
no, knowing his persona when he was wrestling, he was also fascinated and made a lot of comments about what this film shows a lot of.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, but yeah, it's very obvious the fact that they wrote this and then went, we need someone that can wrestle.
Well, it's just, yeah.
There's a lot wrong with this film.
There is a lot wrong with this film. Now, I understand. I mean, it's supposed to be a comedy horror, and I understand it's possibly being ironic and as a kind of a what's the word I'm looking for? A either spoof or
Parody.
homage or something to the 1980s slasher movies. But it's
Oh,
worse than most of them.
oh yeah, it's way worse.
Now, what I have written in here, and I thought I'll start off with good points.
This ain't
Cinematography.
gonna take long.
The cinematography is good. It's
Okay.
got good camera work, good look to it, and that sort of thing. The sets and locations are good.
Yeah,
A few of the effects are pretty good.
yeah,
Some of them are not.
yeah.
Then I go on to things. It's not funny
No.
at all. There is only one bit that made me even smile, and that was right at the end, the post-credits scene, which seemed almost like it was an ad lib anyway.
What's that bit?
Well, the girl throws herself at Jerry the King Lawler and says, "I love you," and gives him a big kiss. And he looks straight at the camera and says, "It's good to be the king." And then they all fall
Oh
out
yeah, yeah, yeah.
laughing. And it's
Yes.
just kind of like the story is basically just a typical slasher story, not very well done.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
yeah.
the acting is mostly naff, and to be honest, the gratuitous and to be honest, boring nudity and pseudo sex was so overdone that I just
Oh yeah.
wanted to turn it off.
Oh, it's just the thing is, I did. I sat there. And got to the point where I had to pause it halfway through and just sort of get up and walk away from it because I sat there and I watched this and I was like, this is. I will say, like, we've watched a lot of films for this, being good, being awful, be some very, very atrocious films.
Yeah.
And never once have I sat there and got at least halfway through and went, this is annoying me to watch.
Yes.
I sat there and I was like, don't get me wrong, I know the fact that, especially in America, when it goes to this whole spring break thing is big, and this isn't something that someone picked out of the air and gone, this would be a good idea. It happens.
Yeah.
But it's just this film just seems to shove it in your face way too much.
It's just.
And it had the very stereotypical all the classic stereotypes in it. The cheerleaders, and there was the groups of them. There was the ditzy one and all that. And I'm like, really? This is just it's obvious.
See, the thing about it is that would be fine in a comedy horror film. That would be fine if the characters were that obviously defined and obviously, those roles. If what they were doing, saying, or anything else was funny, but it wasn't.
Yeah. No, it wasn't. It was awful. And for me, I don't know about you. For me, I sort of guessed who the killer was straight away.
Well,
The fact that there were two different weapons sort of gave it away that it was two different people. But I just sort of I got to that point and I'm like, oh, I know exactly who it is.
to be honest, I never got to the point where I cared.
No, I didn't.
Everybody in that film was so annoying. I just wanted to see them all die.
Yeah, I've got to admit, there was. The thing is, I realised that I spend a lot of time forcing myself not to, obviously, to focus on the screen. And But again, this is one of the films that I sat there and I got to the point where I was like, you know what? I then sort of realised that I'd missed a couple of bits of the film because I was more focused on looking at stuff on my phone.
Yeah.
Just because I needed that break. I needed that point. This is awful.
It is awful. It is. It's an awful film. And to be honest, it's one of the few films I've ever seen. I thought, what a waste of money this film is. They could have spent this money on making a decent film.
Oh, it's the fact. It's just the thing is that, like you said about the acting, a lot of the actors in it, from because I looked on their IMDb pages, and obviously it comes up with what type of film they are, and 96%, I'd say, of the people in this film are all adult entertainers. They all make adult films, and it's just like, why spend that money out on that film, and for it to be shit? there could have been, you could have used that money, like you said, to make a reasonably decent film.
See, I don't get on with a lot of American comedies anyway. American comedies just leave me cold a lot of the time. But there are, I mean, I hate to say this because I don't like the other films at all, but this film makes Scary Movie look
Yeah.
like a work of genius.
Well, I would like to say that I am, as much as pains me to say, I think we've now found the be all and end all of lowest films we've watched, and this is now beaten some of the ones that we put low down.
Yeah, I mean,
It's like, don't get me wrong. I get the fact that like films in the 80s, they were doing stuff because they could, with the whole showing flesh, doing the whole sex scenes and stuff like that. Fine, but this is a film where it is genuinely just, it's there because they've gone,
yeah,
and it's just like, what is the point of that? It doesn't make it entertaining. It's literally just a feature length adult movie.
well, it wasn't even that. That's the point.
No, it's
That's
just,
the
it was a
problem.
really poorly
If it
done.
was, if it was softcore porn, I can understand it, but it's not. It's not even good enough for that.
No, it's
And that's for,
it's
that's for sorry, Nico McBrain. They make a thing about the fact that Nico McBrain's in it. He's in a couple of adverts for the spring break thing.
yeah,
But you don't actually see him in the movie as such, apart from on those TV adverts.
yeah.
And
The fact that like the people that are already, obviously you got Jerry Lawler and then you got like Ron Jeremy's in it, and there's certain people that are in it as themselves. Obviously Jerry Lawler is not, but there's like 3 or 4 people that are in it as themselves. So it's not really a film. They're going there and doing what they would do normally as a work thing, and it's just like, what is the point? If you're going to make a film, you need people that are active, not just turning up and going, "I'm going to be me."
well, no, I mean,
Unless I don't know, unless they're making like odd little cameos where it makes it. But this is just, it's genuinely just their name. It seemed to me like their names were put to it to draw people in,
oh yeah.
and it's just,
I mean, it is an awful film. It's just terrible. And as I say, I honestly, about 3/4 of the way through, I had to look up on my phone to make sure that I'd got the date right, because I thought this is just it's like the worst 1980s slasher movie you could see.
yeah, it is awful. And there's not many times where I've sat. Don't be wrong. There are a few films that I've watched where there's been killers and hack and slash films where I've sort of almost rooted for the killer.
Yeah.
But this is genuinely the first time where I sat there at the end of it when what happens to the killers, and I was genuinely disappointed.
Well,
Because I sat there like, they should have just got away with it and just massacred them all.
no, you see, the problem I had is that I didn't like anyone in this film. I didn't like any of the people in it at all, including the killers.
I don't always say I like the killers, but the fact
No,
that,
but you see, the problem I have is that, you know, I like some of the killers in some horror films,
yeah, it's,
but I just didn't like anybody in this film. I wanted everybody to end up dead. I wanted to love
yeah.
the entire place to just exploded.
I will say, with this film is, it's horrible to say because I don't like stereotyping people, but this film is, if someone showed me this film without the sound to it, obviously because of what, but someone went to me, you can't guess what country this is from.
Yeah,
My straight away reaction would be, was America.
yeah.
The,
Well,
the over top dramatization of the religion, the sex, the stereotype of what the people are like, and it's just like,
but you see,
I get the fact that they're like that in the country, but it doesn't need it.
no, but the thing I have is the fact that that is fine. All that sort of thing is absolutely fine and works really, really well in a good comedy film.
Yeah.
But this is not a good
No.
comedy film. So it just makes it it just makes everyone annoying and just
Yeah,
makes the whole thing rubbish.
it's an hour and 45 minutes of just basically filmed annoyance.
Yeah,
And
it's just,
as I saying, it's not very like it's very rare if I sit there and get to like a point in a film where I'm like, you know what, I've just had enough. And
yeah,
normally it happens if I've seen the film a couple of times and I'm like, okay, I'm starting to know what's going on before it's actually happened in the film. And I'll turn it off because I've obviously watched it too recently.
yeah.
This, I sort of was saying, I got about half an hour maybe into it, and I was like, this is genuinely annoying me to the point where I want to just want to get rid of the film.
I know it is. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It's. I don't know. I sometimes wonder if I mean I do wonder sometimes if it's me and the American culture where I just don't get it. But it's like sort of I've seen American comedies and American comedy horrors that I really liked,
Mm.
but this is just it's the worst American comedy film I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's. I agree with you. There's certain ones like you said with like Scream and even like Scary Movie and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I've looked at and I'm like, and I've watched and it's made a couple of times where I've gone, oh yeah, it's funny. This I would was saying I would make this worse than that, and it's just it genuinely like I said, for anyone that listens to this that might know me or whatever, it takes a lot for me to get proper like I'm gonna whack like on a, aggressive. And I sat there and I got to saying I got to the end of this and I was like, I need to go out. I need to vent off this frustration because of the fact that it just genuinely wound me up. And it takes a lot for a film to do that. Like it takes a lot for someone to do that to my face, but for a film to do that,
but when I got to the end of this film and it had finished, I honestly sat there and thought, why did I watch that?
yeah.
Why?
I did sort of feel like saying to myself at one point, if I just say I've watched it, he might not know. Because
well,
I just got to the point where I was like, you know what, it wasn't the fact that, like, it wasn't the fact that it was me. I just sat there and was like, you know what, I don't want to watch it anymore. Like, a lot of films I'll quite happily watch, and even if they're awful. But, like,
yeah.
I sat there and I was I was having to fight with myself to go, you need to watch it. And, like, all of my being was like, I don't want to.
I can honestly say I don't think I could find one redeeming feature about this film. I don't think there's one thing about this film that I can say I liked.
I think there is sort of for me, and it's genuinely a couple of a couple of the effects that they use for when they kill people. The actual effect,
Yeah.
and I mean not fully all of them, but there were a few that I looked at and I was like, okay, yeah, that looks okay, but I would say it's probably 1% out of all the deaths in the film,
Yeah,
and it's just an atrocious film.
it is. It is an awful film, and it was just a waste of budget and a waste of time.
Waste of time, not only for these people to make, but a waste of time for anyone to watch. I can understand why a lot of the films we watch, like when we watch them on YouTube or watch them on other streaming services, they're quite hard to find, or they're quite easy to find on a lot of streaming services, or they're hard to find on YouTube because people copyright them and bootleg them and stuff like that. But it literally, I've Googled it 3 times, and the first thing that comes up is, what you hear on YouTube?
Yeah,
It's like even YouTube don't want to take it, but don't want to say that this is copyrighted because it's just they don't want to admit the fact that it's anything to do with it. It's
yeah,
just it's awful.
it is awful. It is possibly the worst film I've ever seen. And I mean, in different way to the way that I think it's awful in a different way to things like Humanoids from the Deep and Starship.
Yeah.
It's awful in a completely different way to those. Those are awful just because they're just awful.
Yeah, they're awful because I think a lot of them didn't stand the test of time.
Also, the fact that I think for me they're awful because of the fact I'm so disappointed that
Yeah.
the people who were in them made those awful films. This
But-
one, I couldn't give a damn. I don't care.
No, the thing is, we've spoken about films like that. It's the fact that there's a few that are like that we think they've done it because of the fact that they've gone to the studio's gone to them. We need you to do these films, and we'll pay you this amount, but only if you do these ones as well.
Yeah.
And that's what I think with certain ones. But this, I have the utmost respect for Jerry Lawler, and I think he's an amazing guy. He's an amazing wrestler. But this is the fact that he's genuinely put his name to this is just sort of made me go, maybe you're not the person I thought you were.
It's all money in it.
Yeah, and it's just like,
But there
I
is
don't know.
nothing about this that I enjoyed at all.
It's, it's very. It's not very often where I sit there and go, do you know what? Maybe I should recommend this to someone because I know someone that might be find this interesting. But I genuinely know a lot of people that love all different types of films, and there's not one person that springs to mind when I think about this film.
No.
Like, even people that like god awful films, I wouldn't want to put them through this.
No. So there you go. We had our first film, Goats, which we thought was odd, but had some interesting things and just confusing. Second film, Beware, which was again a little bit odd, was quite funny and had some interesting bits to it. And then Girl Gone Dead, which was absolutely bloody awful and possibly the worst film of any kind ever.
Yeah, it's definitely ranking in the top 5 for the worst. Or actually, I think I might have top 8. It's definitely ranking in the top 3 of worst films we've done for this podcast.
Oh yeah, definitely for that. I would say at the moment I'm trying to decide whether this is worse than La La Land. Not absolutely sure. It can't be far off. So there you go. That's us for this.
Yeah.
So thank you for your input. I apologise profusely for putting you through this.
I will remind you that I will take this is to make you possibly feel a bit better. This would be payment and my punishment for putting you through Werewolves of the Third Reich.
No. I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. That Werewolves of the Third Reich is better than this in so many ways. In almost every way, actually. But there you go.
I would quite happily watch Werewolves of the Third Reich for the next week if I didn't have to watch this film again. Don't be wrong. I would protest so badly about watching it.
I suppose if you were to say to me, you have a choice of watching Werewolf of the Third Reich every day for the next week, or watching Girl Gone Dead once more, I'd probably take Werewolves of the Third Reich.
Yeah. If I had that option of going, if someone had a gun to my head and said, you've got to watch Girls Gone Dead or watch Werewolves of the Third Reich at least once a day for the next week, I know for a fact that there wouldn't be any hesitation.
No.
I would answer them before they finished the sentence.
Absolutely. So next episode we do have we've got 2 shorts again, and we've got a long film. This time it is an older one, and it is a classic old one.
Classic as in cult classic, or classic as in the fact it was done in the 20s?
No, it's a classic as in it's a classic British movie.
Okay.
So there you go.
Can I just say as well, because I know for a fact that I'm getting messages from people that watch this. I know I'm wearing this on my head because of the fact that I cocked up. Right, I was trimming facial hair, and as you can see from where it is, it's not my head on my hair, hair on my head or my beard. I'm not going to say what it is. And I'm wearing this because of the fact I look like an absolute tool. I don't. Okay.
Hey.
Shut up. I know you. And as much as most people would look at this and go, "He looked like a tool anyway," trust me, it makes me look better. I look like someone. I look like someone's tried rubbing one of my eyebrows out. Okay,
Why don't you just shave them both off?
I tried, and that's one of the reasons why it looks as bad as it does, because of the fact that I can do one side with that hand, but I can't do it better with my left hand because I'm right-handed, and it annoys the shit out of me, and that's why I don't do it that often. Yeah, well, I can't do it like that because I'm an idiot. Right? And I was using an electric razor as well, which helped.
You ask Amy to do it.
I would have done, but I know for a fact this is one of the reasons why I'm wearing this, because of the fact I noticed how bad it was, because I looked at her and she laughed at me.
But if you got asked her to do it, should you? And then mind.
Yes, I know.
Anyway, enough of this.
Enough of me making you laugh.
Enough of this stuff. Yeah, it hurts when I laugh at the moment. So yes, thank you for joining us. I didn't know you were falling apart.
Oh no, everyone knows you're falling apart.
Thank you for joining us on the Sciforror podcast. Join us again soon. Also, if you're interested in music stuff, I've been doing some music interviews on my other podcast of the Talking Music with Big Andy. Some interesting stuff on there. And things. And I'm appearing on somebody else's podcast.
Yes, I was going to say, are you going to be mentioning this, or
Yes.
is the reason why you are on it is because of this podcast?
Yes, I am being on. I am being on.
Being on.
I'm going to be on somebody else's podcast, and I am going to be talking about the mythological demon, or the demon, or called the Tokolosh.
Demon mythology.
From African mythology. And it's a very interesting story.
Yes, sounds it.
So I will let you know more about that once I know when it's up and what's going on with it. And like that. So thank you very much for everything and all that. So I can't think of the thing. And until next time.
Oh, I don't know why, but every time you say "until next time," I think you're going to come out with something really like, "Oh my god, that's so heartwarming," or "That's so like deep and meaningful," but you don't, and I don't know why I ever think.
You know,
one of these days you're going to shock me, and you're going to come out with something really deep and meaningful, and I'm going to go, "Oh my god." I doubt it, but
my message to everybody out there is have a good time all the time. So until we see each other again once more, I'd like to say goodbye. Goodbye, goodbye. I'm going, no, hang on. Somebody else's finish. It's not mine. Anyway.
we haven't got a finish. We just talk absolute nonsense until you run out of things to say and then go, bye.
Yeah, well, that's our finish. That's what we do. That's our shtick.
My stick's out in the garden.
A shtick. What was I going to do? Oh, yeah. Bye.
Bye.
The the Sciforror Film Podcast.